The controversial social media influencer Andrew Tate has been arrested in Romania on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organised crime group.
Please tell me about your connection between Beatrice and between Tate brothers.
I got to meet Beatrice, Andrew, and Tristan through some other friends of mine. We ended up being like family. I've never worked for them or with them. This is very unfair. They don't deserve it. Those are just made-up stories that go around the internet. The prosecutors said we're victims in this case, when we obviously declared we are not a victim. This case is basically built on lies, in my opinion. How can I trust the Romanian authorities?
Hi. I'm pretty sure many of you have seen a video of Andrew Tate beating up a woman, and I'm pretty sure not so many of you have seen the same woman coming forward with a statement saying it was nothing but a sex play. So here I am again for the second time. Yes, the woman he has beaten up, and the same woman who has made a statement is me. So I'm coming forward for the second time to just clarify and let everybody know it was nothing but a sex play, consensual foreplay that we liked doing, that I was into, that I wanted.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I'm definitely seeing a lot of polarized reporting on Andrew Tate. Even in my own comment section, there is a lot of emotional attachment to this case, and I actually totally understand why. I think that there's a lot of good reason to question exactly what's going on with this investigation in Romania. I think there are plenty of things on camera. There are statements that have been made that have formulated people's opinions one way or another about Andrew Tate. I've tried to approach this as reasonably and even-handed as I can because you just don't know. I think if the things that were said about him are true, then he should have his day in court. But since the beginning of this, I definitely had some questions in terms of, why are they confiscating his car collection before they've ever even really found him guilty of anything? There's a lot of weird questions that made me kind of think, is this a flex? Are they trying to, take money get money from him? Or, or are maybe both things true? In the real world, Andrew Tate is not a perfect individual. He says some things that I agree with, and he says some things that I don't agree with, but I think it's important to be fair in the reporting. And there was this article that came out yesterday that was reported in basically only one place on the internet. And I think that that's interesting. It's why like a lot of people, especially female colleagues of mine in this space, I think that they get mad that, maybe I'm more willing to accept more. I ask more questions about this. And it's because of the way that it's being reported, because of the way that it's being tried as a case. The information that's out there seems like if it were true, then you wouldn't need to be up to shenanigans. But why wouldn't anybody cover this story? Came out in the New York Post yesterday. Andrew Tate, quote, accusers claim they made clear that they are not victims. The case against Andrew Tate is basically built on lies, according to two women who say they are being treated as accusers despite repeatedly saying that they are not victims. The official Twitter handle of the still jailed influencer was among those sharing an interview of the two women who listed as victims of what the remaining investigators call organized crime. This is very unfair. They don't deserve it, said one of the women, neither of whom was named in the clip he shared, but he described both of them as social media influencers. I don't understand. The prosecutor said that we're victims in this case when we obviously declared that we are not, she said. So this case is basically built on lies, she said, asking, how can I trust the Romanian authorities? The interview on Armezia appeared to show the duo, one blonde and the other with dark hair. In the clip, which appeared to be heavily edited, one of the women said that the pair were introduced to Tate and his 34-year-old brother, one of the co-accused, through mutual friends. We ended up being like family, she said of the Tate brothers. I've never worked for them or with them. We're just very, very close. Okay, so they banged or something, I guess. She maintained that she has constantly made clear that she does not view herself as a victim throughout the investigation, which stated in April last year after the 22-year-old American woman said that she'd been held against her will by Andrew Tate. I think it's pretty embarrassing that 9 months after the first raid in April last year, when we gave our statements in which clearly we said we weren't the victims, that they were being used against the brothers, she said. I'm pretty annoyed and upset, and I don't understand why this is happening. Now, to be clear, allegedly there's more than just two individuals in this case, but the fact that two of them have come out and said, no, we aren't victims. Now, you can dislike the things he does. You can dislike the way he talks about women. You can dislike the way he treats women. I'm only interested in whether or not he did anything criminal. And it just seems like if you had these clear charges, if you had a clear case, why didn't anything happen back in April in the first time around? And now, 9 months later, at least two of the pieces of your case are saying, we don't want anything to do with this. Now, a lot of people will take this and say, okay, well, this is proof that it's the Matrix going after Andrew Tate and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's true. It's certainly proof that, I mean, all you can do is take these women at their word. If they say they weren't victims, then you really can't refute that. Only they can say that, whether they were or weren't, right? And if they came out and said, no, we're as consensual or whatever the case is, I'm not exactly sure how they end up on the complainant side of this.
Hi, I will also like to say a thing. I think it's pretty embarrassing that 9 months after the first raid in April last year, we gave our statements in which clearly we said we weren't the victims. It wasn't until a couple of days ago, I think. Yeah, a couple of days ago that we found out about the whole situation. So I'm pretty annoyed and upset, and I don't understand why this is happening.
Okay, just a second, because I have to speak in my language for all the people.
So now this is two of potentially, I think there was 6. But in a separate interview also shared to Tate's Twitter page, his attorney also appeared to reference the 2 women when asked about the 6 complainants. Not true, it's not 2 complaints, but 6, he told Gandul. He said that several statements in the case were made from people presented as victims who did not have the status of injured parties or having ever filed complaints against the Tates. In his interview, the attorney revealed that both Tate brothers are unmarried dads without elaborating on how many kids each guy has. Don't care. He also suggested that the influencers being tried in part on his social media persona, noting that how many online create a reprehensible, immoral image on social media while really having stable, solid moral principles. Well, so that's his case of saying, well, this is just a character he's playing. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. The thing is, like, I feel like there's been enough smoke here. It's time to see some of the flames. It's time to see some of the fire. And if it exists, well, then he should have his day in court. But if it doesn't exist, it's awfully curious. This morning, they reappeared in court to appeal. And now I think they were sent back to prison or jail while they await the judge's decision. Now, in the case of the Tate brothers, quote, I don't know what their intention was on social media to promote themselves, the lawyer said, but I'm left wondering, could this intention on social media stand as evidence in a criminal prosecution case? Andrew Tate suggested Sunday that he had been hospitalized, sharing a report on why, saying the Matrix has attacked me. He and his brother are due back in court Tuesday, that's today, where they were fighting the decision to keep them locked up until the end of the month. Tate, meanwhile, suggested that his arrest was merely a sign of his greatness. It seems very generations, great revolutionaries suffer from some unfair imprisonment, he said on Twitter. This is it's certainly a weird case. I have to see some of the evidence. I have people telling me, what's crazy is I have people close to me telling me like, oh yeah, there's all sorts of evidence. This is definitely happening. He's going to prison. I'm just sure of it, they'll say. Maybe they are, But I'm trying to just be a little extra cautious because I think, you know, two things might be true. Maybe he is scummy, but did he break the law? And, you know, it's just like in a world of Jeffrey's Island and all these other things where the FBI is talking to Twitter and all this stuff, isn't it possible that there's more to this than meets the eye? You don't have to like the guy, but, you know, you see, it's difficult to know if this is trumped up or not. Now, authorities say that the victims were coerced into participating in, you know, filming videos for distribution on social media, and that one, again, the R word comes up here, and that's where things get a little more serious. Obviously, if that were true, that's a whole different ball of wax. That's a very serious crime. That goes well beyond the he said, she said stuff. I don't think Andrew Tate needs to take women against their will, but I didn't think Bill Cosby did either, or Darren Sharper, former Green Bay Packer safety, or, you know, all this. So I don't know. I think it's a totally reasonable position to have. I think people are really, you know, turned up emotionally about this, but you don't know. We don't know. We haven't seen any of the evidence. What we've seen is a lot of people say, oh, the guy's a douchebag and I hate him, so therefore everything that's said about him must be true. But we don't really know that. Why are they seizing his assets? If they really have this rock solid case, why do they need an additional 30 days to build it? Why didn't they try it 9 months ago in April? I mean, all these things erode. And I don't know what the Romanian justice system's like, but I certainly know the United States one is corrupt and can be corrupted by money. So why couldn't the Romanian one? To me, I thought this was a shakedown from Jump Street. Now, again, that's not saying whether or not these other things happen. I'm saying they seemed awfully concerned with getting those supercars, didn't they? I don't know. I think there's plenty of information here to fuel the rumor or the thought that there are motivations for this other than justice. But I think when you have people coming forward and say, hey, I'm on this complaint as a complainant or as a victim, and I'm not, I think that's a fair question to ask. Are the other four legitimate? Okay, well, we'll have to see, I suppose. That's what court's for. I hope you were informed by this video. If you were, please make sure you leave a like on it, and I'll continue to cover this saga as long as you all are interested. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below so you get notified next time I upload, and we'll talk to you again real soon.